Hello, this is our MIS final project on the Microsoft HoloLens. So overview of HoloLens, it's a 3D augmented reality headset. It has Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, force sensing cameras, and audio microphones. And it's an educational tool to emphasize the small details on any project. And you can hold and or move multiple objects in a 3D space. And for the medical field, it can project duplicates of the same human body that can show the nerve system in one body, bones in another, muscles in another one, etc. And in the long term, it can save a lot of money by not having to purchase and care for multiple corpses. And its cameras and microphone can share information among doctors and nurses on the spot, whether it's in surgery or diagnosing a patient using Skype. And its cost is around $3,500 to $4,000 for the development edition that's out right now. And in the future, HoloLens could possibly replace big X-ray or MRI machines that are extremely costly to maintain and purchase. And since it only debuted in January of 2015, it is a little hard to tell right now just how quickly HoloLens will be integrated in doctors' offices. So the first picture is just showing the HoloLens itself. You can see the two of the four cameras behind the lens. And in this picture, we can see the four different images that show the human body. One is just the natural body, and then one's the muscles, the nervous system, and the bones. And the next photo shows surgeons in the middle of a surgery that can look inside the patient's body and so that they can be more precise in the surgery. And then here we can see in the human body, it projects images and words that show where each organ or bone is placed. And now here's Riley with this next part.
So the HoloLens will impact business in a number of ways. The first example of it impacting a business directly is at the CWRU Medical School. While they're not technically a business, they have used the HoloLens in an advertising and marketing effort to increase the number of students, grants, and different research opportunities that they've gained through a partnership with Microsoft and the HoloLens. Another example of the HoloLens impacting business will be the growth in business from app developers, which create apps and put them into the market that the HoloLens will run on, kind of similar to an Android or Apple App Store right now. They can use, they'll make a lot of revenue from successful apps or simulations, just like apps on the Apple App Store, which gross up to $1 million a day. There's also potential for partnerships with schools, like in the CWRU example, or scholastic organizations such as Pearson, who wants to integrate the HoloLens into textbooks and different medical learning practices. Another way in which companies will be impacted through the HoloLens is the opportunity it presents for medical care companies. What they can do is they can create better services and offer those services using the HoloLens to customers. An example of this would be a doctor showing a patient what is going on inside their body and how to treat it using a HoloLens and a 3D simulation to give a really good visual. And of course, they could charge a premium cost for this to increase their business. Another example of the HoloLens impacting business will be with medical equipment companies. The HoloLens will impact their business by allowing them to have better equipment. They can do this by, for example, pairing the HoloLens with a CT scanner, which scans brains. In the old days, the CT scanner displays an image on a 2D computer screen, but with the HoloLens, it can be displayed as an interactive 3D hologram that doctors can move around and manipulate to really see what's going on. Next, Devin's going to talk to you about how firms can use the HoloLens to gain a competitive advantage over other firms.
One example of a firm we're looking at is Case Western Reserve University. They have teamed up with Microsoft's HoloLens to gain a competitive advantage. The medical students there are experiencing new ways to learn with the opportunities that the HoloLens gives them. With the HoloLens, there are many more possibilities of learning and teaching that this university offers that other universities do not offer. Looking at the 6 resources to achieve a competitive advantage, we can go through and see how Case Western Reserve University is achieving these with the use of the HoloLens. First, we look at brand, as it is the only university and school to use the HoloLens, therefore it is gaining a competitive advantage in that sense. Next, we look at scale, and the increasing demand of students who want to learn using the HoloLens will be able to create a bigger demand and have more students go there, increasing the scale. Third, we look at the switching costs. As 3D learning and virtual learning is increasing, Case Western Reserve University is ahead of the curve and doesn't have to spend any money on switching costs over to the technology, or the students don't have to buy any of it. The fourth is differentiation. As I said before, Case Western is the only university that uses this, and therefore they are a premium in the market for students who are looking for this kind of education. The fifth is network effects. As more students talk up the product of the HoloLens and graduate, they will tell their peers, and their peers will become interested and want to learn from this more. So the more people use this technology and come to Case Western to learn and use it, the more valuable the technology and the firm becomes. And finally, distribution channel. If successful with all these other ones above, Case Western can successfully create a good and successful university where they can use the HoloLens to expand and grow their success of their future medical programs by expanding their number of universities and campuses. And here's Max to finish up our presentation.
All right, so a couple of trends that we see happening with the HoloLens is, first off, medical schools we believe are going to change. We believe that with the HoloLens becoming a greater technology, that eventually at some point more prestigious medical schools might adopt this method as a way of studying and learning how to use the human body, for it's easier than just using a textbook. The second trend that we believe is going to happen is that the operating rooms and emergency rooms are going to change. Currently, there's a lot of monitors that people need to use in order to look at patients' vitals, medical history, etc. With the HoloLens, doctors and surgeons will now only have to use one piece of equipment and be able to retrieve the information they want faster. These are our two biggest trends that we see happening so far, and I'm sure there's many more. This concludes our technology briefing on the HoloLens and how it affects the medical industry. Thank you for listening. Go Vikings.